Hi everyone, good evening. So finally the wait is over. Exam khatam ho gaya. CLAT ka paper is now over, and I'm sure you know how the feedback has been. So while we go ahead start the analysis, I'm sure at least this was better than what we got last week in the IELTS 2023 paper. At least the shock to that level was not there, but still there were some areas where we definitely feel that most students were taken by surprise. So today with me, I have Pooja. So you know her, legal mentor. We have Siddharth sir. All of you know him for your logical reasoning area. And today we also have Prasan sir. So all of us took the paper today. So we'll be taking you through that. We'll keep a quick analysis. Rahul sir will be joining very soon. So all of us took the paper today. Yes, if I compare it with last week, AILT 2023, of course, quite simpler from that aspect. But yes, there were certain surprises if we compare it with what happened 6 months ago in June with CLAT 2022. Okay, so let's go ahead look at what happened exactly and how was the paper. Section by section, we'll be decoding it, and all the subject matter experts will be talking about their respective sections. But before that, a quick update about what happened. So we all know CLAT 2023 has been preponed by 5 months. Sudden announcements have been there. All of a sudden, they wanted to give the preferences for the last 2 years. It was after the exam. The counseling process is likely to happen somewhere around first week or second week, most probably second week of January. But the paper definitely coincided with your pre-board examination. I'm sure you had a tough time balancing your act between your school curriculum as well as the CLAT and IELTS preparation. But I think here things become clear now. Whatever has happened today, at least for next 2 months, I'm sure your focus would be on your board examination. If at all required, then we'll have SLAT MHCET somewhere around month of May. Just to give you a quick summary before we get into each of the areas. So we have now Rahul sir also has joined for this session. So overall, if you talk about definitely a lengthy paper, slightly difficult, but that can be attributed to the length of the paper as well. In two of the sections, there were surprises. We'll talk more about that. That brought down the number of passages. So your attempt-based calculator is already live on lawentrance.com/CLAT. You can check your scores from there. And very soon we'll be coming out with the answer key. The team is already working on it. So hopefully in another hour or so, you'll get the actual paper-based score calculator as well. So let's go ahead and look at what happened with each of these sections. What exactly was the case today? What was the real scenario? Reading comprehension. I'm sure we have Rahul. Rahul, I think this is your department, and I'm sure you love taking the paper today. So what's your feedback for this particular section? Rahul, you're not audible. You are muted, actually.
Yep. So, good evening, everyone. So, first thing I'll say is probably a little controversial. Some of you might hate me for that. I actually think this is a good paper. From the English and logic perspective, it was a good paper. The quality of English is up. The subjects are more diverse. The sources are taken from more varied sources, not just Indian. It's not like Indian Express, Times of India, Hindu. That's it. They have taken from books. They have taken from foreign sources. The subjects are interesting, and to top it all, they took an excerpt from one of my favorite books of all time, Harun and the Sea of Stories, from Salman Rushdie. So yes, thumbs up first to the content team, whoever has picked up the sources. That was good. Second, yes, it actually tests your ability, both the English and logic. And what I dislike about earlier CLAT papers is the ambiguity. And this time, I think an effort has gone in to reduce the ambiguity, right? So much less ambiguity. I was just discussing with Siddharth sir on the number of questions on which we have differences. I think there'll be about a few, maybe three, four questions in English and one odd question in logic that we might differ. So reduced ambiguity is a big plus for the students, right? Overall, slightly lengthy, but doable. it would require about 30 minutes. You can't just breeze through it for each of these papers. Uh, I would say 1921 is a good score. 25-26 attempts would be good.
Okay, so that's Rahul's take on the English section, and I'm sure Siddharth also attempted the paper, but we'll come back to you for the critical reasoning. I'm sure the students are waiting for that. Now, talking about the GK section, yeah, this was a surprise actually. So if you all have seen that. So for the last 3 years, when the pattern was changed, 2020, 21, 22, we saw the uniformity there, except for one small change in 2021. But this time we had less number of events being covered out here. So we had only 5 events. And post the exam, I and Siddharth were discussing, and he came out with a very valid point. अगर एक इवेंट मतलब 2 इवेंट कम हो गए और एक इवेंट गड़बड़ हुआ तो यू विल बी लूजिंग आउट ऑन 7 क्वेश्चंस. Of course, there were certain events, like if you talk about Lambda, I think most students might have found it difficult actually. FIFA World Cup, that was a surprise, then I think there is something to talk about, but something which is happening right now. Today is the final match actually. So we all are waiting for Messi to lift the World Cup actually. I'm sure each one of you are praying for that only. But yes, I think if we talk about the FIFA World Cup passage, or if you talk about the President Murmu, the election process, the election of the president, I think these two were one of the easiest passages. Growth in agri might have a little bit surprised you. FTX is something which I recall reading about it 2 weeks ago or maybe 3 weeks ago. So I think mostly focused on current affairs. The range was quite good, but yes, definitely this section has taken students by surprise. We can't say this was an easy section or a very difficult section. The difficulty level was somewhere around moderate. Good attempt could be around 2021. And please understand, when we are talking about good attempt, we are looking at from each of these section perspective. We have already received feedback from more than 700 students, and Pooja have been working with the students. We have got more than 750 feedbacks already. Ideal score, good score here would be 14, 15. Lot of challenges in terms of the content, and of course the risk factor was there, so it was not so easy as would have. But yes, more or less we can say 2022 was obscure. This was not obscure, but still a difficult section to breeze through. I think this time it was very, very different, even if you compare it with 2021. Okay, so Pooja, legal reasoning.
Just 1 minute. Can I take 1 minute?
Sure.
Yeah, right. 1 minute on the current affairs part to understand is that it is not very specific. You take a broad topic and you go in depth. So, for example, if you look at artificial intelligence, it starts from Turing test, which is still considered the gold standard for whether a machine is really artificially intelligent or not, goes to Gary Kasparov in chess, then comes back to Supreme Court's legal assistant. So they're taking a topic and going broadly into the topic. It's not like everything will be in one article kind of stuff. Same thing, for example, FTX is one scam. Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos is another scam. So multiple scams, all connected. So that actually makes it a deeper knowledge and much tougher for students, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Rahul. Pooja, so lengthy section. Yeah. You are not audible. I think there is some issue at Pooja's end, so we'll just go ahead and hold on. So I'll take that section. So Pooja, can you hear us? No, we are not able to hear you. Okay. So if you talk about, guys, legal reasoning, definitely one of the lengthy sections today, actually. So, but we can't say that this section was difficult per se. So lengthy tha, difficult nahi tha. Reading effort was required actually, but everything was current affairs. So whether and of course your knowledge would have definitely helped in some of the areas, but it was more about what how you are reading and what thought were going into your mind at that point of time. So this would have taken a bit of time, like Rahul mentioned, for the English section 22-24 के जी हम बात करते हैं, मतलब for English section, that is the time good enough for the reading comprehension, 22 minutes, 24 minutes, which was not the case today. Similarly, here it would have definitely taken you somewhere around 40 minutes. Usually we talk about 35 minutes, but this would have definitely taken you 40 minutes. But yes, probably some students got terrified with the length of the section itself, but those who hold their nerves, they definitely would have realized that this section was overall not very difficult, but it was easy to moderate and easily could have been done if time was there actually. So that's the case was. Overall, good attempt would be 35-37. Good score 31-32. So legal always comes to the rescue. It is an important area. It's the tiebreaker section. And from a student perspective, they are somehow more interested in solving this section every time actually. So that's where the love interest is. Okay. Siddharth, what about the logical reasoning? Yahan pe bhi change raha, number of passages
Yeah.
reduced.
So good thing. Firstly, I really agree with what Rahul sir said, that English and logical reasoning section, there were very few debatable questions. The standard has gone up. They have perhaps made an effort to improve the quality of the questions, and the options were less ambiguous. So good thing from a student's point of view, 5 passages, although the length of the passages was slightly, higher as compared to the previous CLAT. Each passage at 6 questions. Uh, as I said, less ambiguous as compared to 2022. I think a big differentiator in this question, the entire paper, could be where are you attempting logical reasoning? Because this was the easiest of the all 5 section according to me, right? So if somebody is attempting it after legal, that person might have given extra time to legal because it was lengthy, and that would have caused maybe one passage less attempt in logical reasoning, maybe difference of 2 to 3 marks in overall scheme of the exam. So if somebody has attempted it first, accuracy will be higher in logical reasoning. That's why we are saying that a 26-27 attempt and a score of 20. So if somebody has read the passage properly, out of 6 questions, at least you will get 5 right. So there is not much of a scope, if you have read properly, to commit mistakes, because questions were less ambiguous. Elimination worked like, very smoothly in almost all the questions. So around 20 is a good score in the logical reasoning section. And I will say that it was moderate difficulty level.
Thanks, Siddharth. But before I move on to the next section, and Prasann talks about it, here's his feedback after the end of the paper. His feedback was, uh, 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 they gave a CAT paper, isn't it? So that was his feedback. Over to you, Prasann. So more about that.
So that was a bit of an exaggeration, but yes, I mean this easily was one of the tougher quant sections in the last few years. I don't remember the last time, maybe 2015 was it?
15.
Yeah,
Yes,
15
15.
when quant was that bad. But so in terms of the section, it was the same as what we expected: 3 sets, 5 questions each. The key was to there was one section on players from a judo based group, right? So that clearly stood out as the easiest section. uh, those guys who got that as their first section, the first set in their paper, probably would have had an advantage over people probably who had that as the last set, right? So that set had to be done. I think those were 5 questions which you could have easily gobbled up in maybe about 5 minutes. Uh, Very easy to gobble them up if you are conceptually okay with basics of averages. That was the easiest set by a mile. So you had to do that. Now the problem was the other 2 sets. So there was a set on India discrimination report where I thought the first 2 questions were quite straightforward. So you could have got about 2. The third was a bit ambiguous in terms of the wording, and the fourth and fifth were really, really big. I mean, they by itself was another passage within themselves, right? So, uh, not a great thing to kind of get into the last 2 questions, because the questions by themselves were not very difficult, but they were very, very time consuming. Very time consuming. You could have probably spent 5 minutes to get those 2 marks. So maybe you could have got 2 marks very easily in that set of India discrimination report. And then the last one, which a lot of people may have gone drawn to, because it was the data appeared very small on the fruits, 5 fruits. Uh, But there were two very easy questions. The first question and the last question hardly needed any data from the main passage. You could have solved it in a jiffy. But the other two or three were very ambiguous, very ambiguous. There is this belief that maybe the data was missing in maybe a couple of the questions, right? So we will probably have to work on that tonight, and we'll come with more clarity on that. But it appeared that a couple of questions seem to have data missing. So all in all, a very good attempt would have been in the range of 7 to 9. Those who have done the judo set and those who have done the two easy questions could have attempted 9 questions and actually got a score of 8 to 9. Those questions were very easy. The others were very tricky. So I think a good score would be around 7. Even if you made a silly mistake, it would be about 7-ish. But can't see that going above that. I mean, generally, you look at a high 11 or a 12 as a good score. I think it's going to come massively down. So maybe anyone who gets 6 to 7 would be competing with the best.
Okay, so we have got a feedback. I think Pooja already predicted it in one of her sessions. Somebody writing over here, Pooja ma'am predicted it right. I remember ma'am telling QT would be more difficult than the other 3 years. So well done, Pooja. So that's a feedback for you. So I think this you have taken it one of your analysis sessions with the kids. Okay, so time to reveal what students are waiting for actually. So guys, this is something which we expect it to be for the top 3 NLUs, and so this is where the good attempt and good scores are about to be. So the cutoffs could range, might be around 91, 92 for top 3 NLUs, but this time we believe it's not going to be that high. While we are still working on the feedback, we are receiving feedback from the students, and that's why it is important that you also use the score calculator, so that will help us come out with quickly with the cutoffs actually, because the more sample is, the more data is available, it becomes easier for us to talk about in that sense. Now for the last 3 years, 3 attempts, if you look at the cutoffs for the last or the lower NLUs have been around 72, 73. That might not change drastically. So it could be just around 70 plus only. It might not come down below that, considering the fact that at the mid ranges, there'll be more students and there'll be tiebreakers happening over there. So we have to look at from every angle. Don't expect to go bring it drastically down to somewhere around 50s or 60s. That's something which is not going to happen. So we have to be realistic, and any decision you want to make forward from here, focusing on your board examination or simultaneously taking a start for MHCET, SLAT, and CRIST at the same time, please be cautious. Be cautious over there actually. So don't jump to conclusions. Tonight, the CLAT consortium will also release the paper. Tomorrow, they'll invite the objections, probably giving 24 hours. And on 24th of December, the final answer key is to be released by the consortium, and the final rank list is expected. So whatever has to happen will happen in 2022 itself. So we'll get to know about the rank list by last week, somewhere around, let's say, 27th, 28th of December. That is what it is expected actually. So again, a compliment, Pooja, for you. Thank you, ma'am, for the current legal. It worked well. So this is what we expect, students, and definitely will keep on updating the analysis page on lawentrance.com/CLAT. Keep visiting that. As we get more information from the student, more updates coming in, more students using the score calculator, we'll keep on updating that, and we'll give you an overall cutoff scenario for all the national law universities. At the same time, we'll be coming out with the actual paper-based score calculator tonight itself. So in next probably 1 or 1.5 hours maximum, the team is working on the answer key. The subject matter experts, some of them are here as well. So after this session, they'll be doing that. So thank you so much for joining us today evening. Thank you so much, Prasan, Pooja, Siddharth, and Rahul for joining this session. Guys, you have been a wonderful audience, and here's on behalf of entire LST team, we wish you all the best. This is not the end of the day, as I told last time as well. Please understand, if today was not your day, there are opportunities coming your way after your board examination. Look forward to that, and I'm sure you'll still get into one of the good law colleges of the country. No need to lose heart. Don't need to. This is not the end of the world for you guys. There are a lot of opportunities coming your way. Thank you so much for joining this evening, and all the best for your board exams in case you are a class 12 student, and definitely for your future endeavors.
Thank you, everyone. And stay tuned with updates. Do use the score calculator, and definitely working on providing you the answer key as soon as possible.